Welcome back to this special edition of the Little Growth Podcast. Today I am your host, Damson, and before we begin, a quick reminder for all of us to please subscribe, follow, and leave a rating and review on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. It helps this show grow and reach a wider audience. Today is International Women's Day. We are talking about what it's actually like to be a woman in our world today. Joining me on the show is Asiimwe Shivan Faith. Shivan, you're most welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
So Shivan, look at the modern Ugandan women. The women today are powerhouses. We're hearing about very many people being CEOs, leading companies, very many women in open markets. They're running shops downtown. And they also do all that while managing the home. And yet, research shows that 90% of new projects tend to fail because of these, like the killers of innovations. One of them being old-fashioned rules and the pressure for quick results. My question to you today is, in Uganda, how do you balance being a successful woman who leads the way while dealing with the cultural pressure to stay quiet in the background?
Okay, well, yeah, as you've asked the question already, because I'll start by maybe telling you about the key terms in the question. So when we look at the key terms in the question, we're looking at the cultural pressure in the society or in the background. So currently, the society that we are operating in, this is a society that has a lot of cultural norms, beliefs, and everything. And there is a lot of pressure that arises from those cultural norms. This is the society that we are living in, meaning that a lot of things happen and you have to abide. That's what is quoted, that you have to abide by that. But how can a woman who leads the way, how can a woman, lead the way while dealing with the cultural pressure to stay quiet in the background? But first of all, staying quiet, at some point it really comes in as a reason as why, okay, the reason is supposed to be, why are you staying quiet? That's the question. So how are you going to deal with this pressure as you're going to stay quiet? Because if at all the pressure is too much that it's going to force you to stay quiet, then I really don't think that that's really necessary. Women are supposed to come up and boldly speak and talk about what they're really going through. Because remember, pressure is always like a sign of potential. Because the mere fact that there is that pressure that is arising, meaning that they're already seeing you as someone who is potentially standing. Because
Supposed to be reckoned with.
thank you. Because there is no way they're going to find an ordinary person and the pressure will start applying. But pressure is always a sign to show that this kind of person is potentially stable to go through this pressure or to attract the pressure. So when no one really pressurizes you, it really becomes irrelevant. It's not even a sign that you're really working hard. Because for you to be notified or to be seen, meaning that you have to be really standing, and that shows that you're relevant. So it means that the fact that you're already feeling that pressure from the environment or from the society that we are staying in, it means you have the potential. It means you are seen. It means that you're expected to rise. And how are you going to rise regardless of this cultural pressure and all that? Fine, the pressure is there, but how are you going to leave it behind? First of all, you need to do what? To strengthen the emotional stability of the environment, of you yourself, because pressure always feels heavier when you seek a lot of validation. For example, if at all you feel like the pressure is there, and then you feel like you need to talk to someone, meaning that you've really not stayed silent. So I really don't support the idea of someone being silent or stay quiet in the background. Silence really matters, but it also matters. It does not also make sense, but when you stay silent, a situation where you feel like the pressure is too much and you cannot handle it on your own. Yep. So maybe what else I can say is that, remember, this cultural pressure is always, to me, I really take it as if it's too much noise. And how am I going to, me as a woman, how am I going to suppress this noise? it's not that you're going to avoid it, but you have to suppress or reduce it to a certain level. The cultural pressure is there. You're not going to run away from the society.
Yeah.
Unless maybe you go to another country, you shift. But also each and every place that you go to has its own pressure. So you cannot avoid, you cannot keep running away. So not everything really deserves your attention. You're a successful woman, you have a business and all that, and then the culture that you're living in is telling you that women are not supposed to be owning this, women are not supposed to. You're supposed to listen, fine, but how are you going to reduce it? Not everything really deserves your attention.
Yeah, true.
You're supposed to, and then I think the other thing is women are trying nowadays to really compare themselves with the social media. The comparison comes a lot with the social media. Someone watches a video and then they want to compare themselves with that. Like you're a woman who is you're leading some big environmental, some big space where there are different people, different characteristics and different traits. And then you really want to compete with another person who is leading differently. You do not know the traits that this person is having. You don't know the techniques that this person is applying. That means that you're supposed to be you. You're supposed to really become the best version of yourself.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Well, I don't even have anything else to ask you, like regarding that question. Let's just move on to the next segment. So on to the next segment of the danger of fitting in. Now, many people say that in a crowded world, fitting in is failing. Yet in Uganda, many girls are taught from a young age to just fit in and follow the crowd. Often, society judges women more for their mistakes than for their bravery, like you've just talked about. This creates a culture of punishment where people are afraid to talk about their errors, where they go wrong. The question that I want to ask you in regards to this is, how can women change their mindset so they don't see a no as a personal defeat, but as a noble failure? A learning step that was done with proper preparation and a clear understanding of what went wrong.
Okay. I would start by really saying that noble failure really belongs to women who refuse to shrink. Because when the rules are set, everything is there, and then you refuse to shrink to that, it's really an achievement. So when I look at this question and I really see how a woman is supposed to change their mindset so they don't see a no. First of all, how do you define a no? Because everyone has their own definition of a no.
Yeah.
How do you define a no? Because a no may mean that no, the time is not yet. No, you're not capable. No, you're not the right person for this. No, this is not the right space for you. So how you define your no and how you apply your no, it really matters a lot. So at some point, I really feel like women, because we're brought up in a society still that talks about how, okay, we're told to shrink, how to shrink to fit in the society.
Yeah.
Because as a woman, you're supposed to be humble, you're supposed to be submissive. I know, yes, true, you're supposed to be submissive, but not submissive to everything that really affects your mental health and something that really does not define you well. You're not supposed to be submissive to that.
Yeah.
So I really would advise women to really first define what no means, instead of them saying that they've rejected me because I'm not good enough. That's not supposed to be the point in this whole situation, because you should actually, instead of saying that, for example, if you apply for a job somewhere and they reject you, you've applied for that job. It does not mean that this is your calling. If they've rejected you, it does not specifically mean that. So when they reject you, you're not supposed to say that, oh no, they've rejected me because I'm not good enough, because maybe I'm not the right candidate, because I'm not. No, you're good enough. That's first of all. You're supposed to identify yourself as self-actualization. You know that you're good. And then instead of saying this, you would you would just maybe say, this opportunity wasn't aligned, but I'm still worthy. You go ahead and apply for the job, maybe some other organization, other than maybe counting that maybe this organization so and so has really refused to take you in, and then you're going to stop then doing be like, no, I'm not going for another because maybe I'm not a good HR, I'm not a good speaker, I'm not a good artist. If at all you apply for, because me what I really do, In the leadership spaces, you apply to very many you apply to be invited in very many leadership spaces.
Yeah.
But it's not that you're going to be invited in very many, because we have leadership spaces that are full of, there is a lot of bureaucracy. There is a lot of corruption, that when even you apply, the chances of you getting invited are going to be very minimal. But then when they reject me because I've registered, and then my application was rejected, that is not going to stop me, because I really know who I am, and that does not mean that I'm not a good leader. So I'll go. If another link comes up and shows up, I'll still go for it. Because how far do I show you that I'm good enough? If organization so and so calls for women in leadership in a certain leadership space, and then I do not qualify, if this organization calls again, I will also go, because I will not stop showing up. So no is not a disgrace. It's just evidence that you are dead. And noble failure, as I already told you, that it belongs to women who refuse to shrink. So you will always have to try again. You will always have to rise again, build again. Your courage is just greater than the rejection. So you shouldn't be rejected and then you stop on one thing. When you're rejected in some other space, go for another thing. Rejection should not really define you. Or it should not really say that you're not worth it. You're not a good person. You're not a good woman. You're not a beautiful woman. So you should try to be you. You should not really chase away rejection. When you're rejected, appreciate it and get to learn from that. Maybe if actually someone comes up and tells you that, the reason as why we rejected you is because of so and so. Listen, if there is a point to pick, learn from it. If there is no point to pick, still do not listen to this person. Move ahead and go achieve greater spaces that are ahead of you. Thank you so much.
I beg to submit.
So,
Okay, so let us take a short break and we will come back with more. Welcome back to the show. So on to our next segment, we are talking about handling a fast changing world. So we live in a VUCA world, and by VUCA, it stands for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. In this kind of world, making mistakes is just a part of doing business. I also came across an iconic insight from Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, who said, "If your dreams do not scare you, they are not big enough." But to reach those dreams, you have to survive market pressure and short-term goals that often kill a big vision. Shivan, the question I have for you in regards to this segment is, how can women keep their diligence and willingness to stay on their path when the world around them is confusing and the pressure to give up is so high?
all right. So when you look at this question, it's more of like, so how does a woman stay steady when the wind keeps changing direction? So here is how you can become a mountain instead of a leaf, because now we are trying to put this as if there is wind. And then how do you stand still? How do you become a mountain instead of becoming a leaf? So I would really say that when a woman knows why she's walking her path, she can survive the slow seasons and the loud opinions that are happening. And then before the woman starts to question a lot, the first thing that she's supposed to ask herself is, why did I start? Before you give up, or before you even start thinking about the confusion and the pressure that is coming up, why did you start? And who benefits if you don't give up? Another next question would be like, what kind of woman are you trying to become? So I would really say that when a woman knows where she's walking her path, she can survive the slow seasons and also the loud opinions. Because when you know what you want, it's very hard to give up, regardless. Because when you're starting to embrace a certain journey in life, that setbacks are going to be part of this. Slow seasons are bound to happen, and the loud opinions from different people who are part of your life and those who are not part of your life are yet unbound to happen in this whole situation. But as a woman, How can you survive those slow seasons and the loud opinions in your life? Of course, you have to build a small circle of strength. Because in Uganda, the community that you're living in or the community that you have around you really matters deeply. But not every voice that you hear should guide you. You're supposed to have people who know you better, people who understand you. And for example, you can just decide to have one mentor, one honest friend who will tell you what exactly you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to have one spiritually grounded person because in this whole thing, you need to have spiritual guidance. You need to have some person who is financially wise. So in your circle, it really matters. You don't need very many voices to really make it. You just need one wise voice that will help you to make it in this whole thing. Because noise always weakens the focus and the guidance just strengthens it. So I know the pressure is always high, the confusion is always there, but who do you go to when you're facing this? And then women should also learn to separate cultural expectations from personal callings. You know your personal calling that you're a woman you're a virtuous woman. And then there is this culture expectation. They expect you to be this kind of woman who's so submissive. And then you're a virtuous woman. I know a virtuous woman is supposed to be submissive. But remember what I asked you, you're submissive to what? Are you submissive to something that is draining you? Because a woman must learn to ask, is this advice that you're listening or you're getting, is it wisdom or it's someone else's limitation? I know women are told that there is some other woman, like every woman has what they think is right. And it's up to you who is listening to really know, what am I saying? Is it right? Or it's just my limitation? Or it's just my experience? I know we're supposed to respect culture, but do not let the culture really cage you into something that you're not really into. So, and then I also think women should develop the financial independence early because when you do not have financial independence, it's really very hard to thrive through the community or the environment that we are really living in. So I really understand in Uganda the financial pressure is one of the biggest reasons women give up on the dreams that they have. A woman has a dream of becoming a doctor, a dream of becoming a great leader, a dream of becoming a great person. But then the financial pressure that is upcoming or that is all around the corners of this world or the corners of this country, Uganda, is one of the reasons why women give up on their dreams. So even the small income that you have, it's supposed to build the confidence. It's supposed to reduce the desperation. It really increases the decision power because I know money may not be everything, but dependence can really silence the courage that you have as a woman. Because when you're trying to build it or bring it up in the aspect of maybe the relationship part of it, you really feel like in the contemporary world that we're living in, if at all a woman does not have their own money, you find it that a man is going to step on them. But when you have the money, it does not mean that you're having everything, because when you have the money, still you need the man. But there's some things that are going to happen, and you have respect and you have independence on your own. It will build your confidence that you know that if at all, because relationships at some point, I'll not say that I'm trying to say that they're not meant to stay, but in times when a relationship is not there, where is your confidence going to come from? Are you going to still stand and say that I can make it? Or because maybe the partner that you're handling right now or that you're having right now has left you and then you feel like you cannot make it. But when you have the money, at some point it may build your confidence. You may know that, yeah, regardless. Because when you're really counting on someone that this partner is done providing my this, providing my that, providing my this. So when he leaves, meaning you cannot continue without them. But when you have the money, meaning that you've learned the financial independence when it's still early, it will build your confidence. You'll not be desperate because you know when someone is giving you food, someone is giving you airtime, someone is giving you upkeep, you're desperate. You need that relationship to really move on in life. But when you have the financial independence, there's at some point you'll not be very desperate, even when this relationship is not okay, even when the relationship is not in existence anymore. So it will even reduce the decision power because our mothers, I would say that our mothers at some point, or maybe women in the African tradition religion, will not really sustain to live maybe toxic marriages because they would stay for their children. They would be like, I'm staying for my kids. But we're living in a world whereby a woman is ready to live a toxic marriage. because they have the money, they have a decision to make. They have a right to divorce and a right not to divorce. Because when money is there, or when you've learned financial independence, you can really thrive. That even when a man, even when you're in a toxic relationship, there is a way you have the decision to say that I'm not going to take this in. This is not the kind of life I want to live, and I can quit this. Because you can stand on your own for a meantime as you wait on the Lord to bring the right person or the right people around you. So I just would love to advise women to learn the financial independence when it's still very early, and also try to turn the confusion into strategy time. Because when everything feels uncertain, do not quit. Do not really just feel like you're giving up on yourself. Sit into that, plan, because you're learning as you're also achieving something. You may feel like you're on the wall, but you're also learning something that even when this situation is bound to happen next time, you will not feel like it's the first time. You have a lot of experience. You know even how to deal and how to get out of it. So confusion is not a sign to stop. It is just a signal to help you think deeply and know, is this your thing? Can you go for it? Are you going to go to war for it? Or you should pause and first think right.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for that. You've done this question justice. Now we're going into the wrap up. We're just finishing up this episode because we have really had a very um, insightful discussion into so many things. But let's finish up with this last thing. We are going to look at what we call the cemetery of failed innovation. For me, I like to call it that. We shouldn't try to hide our struggles deep underground. Whenever you fail, whenever you're struggling, whenever you're going through something, you shouldn't hide it, or you shouldn't sugarcoat it, or you shouldn't wrap it around um, funny funny terminologies. Like people don't like the skeletons in their closets, something like that. Whatever you try to bury might come back to haunt you. It is better to face the truth and learn from it. I think you can agree with that.
Yeah, I do.
So as I wrap up the episode, I also have a closing quote from one Maya Angelou. Maya Angelou said, "Each time a woman stands up for herself, she stands up for all women." So Shivan, what is one root cause or deep reason for fear that you want women to face today? And also, what is one small step they can take to make sure their journey is noble?
All right. Yeah. So I really love this question because when you ask about the root cause or the deep reason for fear that I would want other women to face today, the deep reason or the root cause of fear, I would really say that it's the fear of not being enough. Fear of not being enough, fear of not being smart enough, fear of not being beautiful enough, fear of not being enough in each and everything that you're doing. So, we women, I think we are always emotional in most of the situations. And when there is that fear within you, because fear is something that is within you, it's not something that comes from the external thing. It's within you because when you're scared, that means it's you who is scared, not the people around you. So fear of not being enough, it really comes from the comparison from social media. Or at some point, it really comes from the past rejections or criticisms from the society that we are living in. Also, the pressure to please everyone. Because you cannot really please everyone, you're not ice cream, you're not beer, that you're going to make everyone happy. So in every situation where you feel like you want to please people, you can please people, but not everyone who is in your life. So I was talking about that this is where it all comes from, the fear of not being enough. It comes from those reasons, the pressure to please everyone, the past rejection, the comparison from social media, because we do believe that we are living in a society whereby social media is a key in everything. We women, we prioritize a lot of social media. If you're not on IG, you're on TikTok, and you're following various women in different sectors. So when you start comparing your life with these women, at some point you feel like these are women of your age, and you feel like they're making it, and then you are not making it. So the question, you start comparing yourself, and you're like, if I told a girl of 22 years, or if I told a woman of 30 years is already married and having 10 kids in this marriage, yeah, people are there. And is already having 10 kids in this marriage, and they're having a supportive partner. So you start comparing, and you're like, why? Why am I also not doing the same? Why is it that this and this is happening and then it's not happening with my life? You start comparing. You're saying women of your age are driving expensive cars, and then you're walking from place to place. You do not even own any bicycle, not even a small motorbike. So you start comparing your life and your life. Why is it that I haven't made it? And then you start having that fear within you that, oh, maybe I'm not enough, or maybe I'm not that beautiful, or maybe I'm not brave enough, or maybe I'm not smart enough, or maybe that's not who I am. So that really drags us back to that. So one thing I would really advise the women about today, let's confront the fear of not being enough in every aspect that you face it. Like wherever that thing comes within you, it may be a small voice within you that you're not enough. You should fight so hard, because if you keep on ignoring it, it will become a big point. At some point, you start now confirming to it that, oh, maybe I'm not enough. It's true. Yet it was a small voice. So it's a small voice that can come in small situations, but it can make a very big impact in your life, and in a negative way. So you are never created to really shrink, and you're not too much. You are just enough. And you're not lacking, you're not behind. But when the time is right, the Lord will always make it right for you. Because we see that from the scripture of Isaiah chapter 16, verse 22. We should not try to really compare ourselves with other people. Fine, compare, but do not do a lot of it. If another woman is making it in life, this is a race. And if someone gets there before you, it's okay. Your time will also come. So we should, I think, just appreciate the time that we are living in. As long as you're not wasting a lot of time, just appreciate it for who you are. You're enough. You are you. And you may not make sense to someone else, but what matters to yourself is enough.
Well, you've done the question justice, and that has been a very good wrap-up question, I believe. So, Shivan, thank you so much for being a part of the show.
You're welcome.
And to everyone that is listening, do not just look at the surface of why things go wrong. Dig deeper. Happy Women's Day. I'm Damson, and this has been the Little Podcast. I will see you in the next one.